All right, let's get right into it. We all use spreadsheets, right? But honestly, most of us are just using them like digital filing cabinets, just these static lists of data. But what if your spreadsheet could actually think for you? What if it could make decisions and highlight the important stuff all on its own? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build today.
I mean, just think about it for a second. How much of your life do you spend just scrolling and checking, and then double-checking your work? Scanning these endless rows, trying to spot that one thing you're looking for? It's a huge time sink, and let's be honest, it's not exactly the most exciting part of the day.
Okay, so that all changes today. We're going to take that passive data and turn it into an active partner. We're going to teach it to analyze itself and basically shout out the answers you need instantly. So let's get to it.
First things first, before we can make our data smart, we have to make it usable. And that means taming those massive spreadsheets. You know, the ones that just seem to scroll on forever? We've all been here, right? You're way down deep in this winery's cash flow sheet, you scroll down to look at, say, loan repayment, and poof, wait a minute, which column was year 4 again? The headers are gone, you lose all context, and you end up playing that frustrating game of scrolling up and down, up and down. It's just so inefficient.
The solution is a super simple, but believe me, an incredibly powerful little command called freeze panes. And it does exactly what it sounds like. It freezes or locks any rows and columns you tell it to, so they stay put no matter how far down or across you scroll.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. Check out this personal investment sheet. You see how the column letters jump from B straight to D? That's freeze panes doing its job. Columns A and B are totally locked in place, so no matter how far to the right we scroll, we'll always know which investment we're looking at. It's proof that a smart spreadsheet always starts with good organization.
Okay, now that our sheet is nice and organized, let's give it a brain. We're going to introduce the most fundamental, the most important logical tool in your spreadsheet's arsenal, the if function. This right here is where your data starts making decisions for you.
Really, at its core, the IF function is just a simple question and answer machine. You ask it a question that has a yes or no answer, and then you just tell it what to do for each of those outcomes. It's pretty much the basic building block for all spreadsheet logic. Now, I know it might look a little intimidating as a formula, but it's really just 3 simple parts. First, you have the logical test. That's your question. You know, something like, is the number in this cell bigger than 10? Second, the value of true. What do you want the spreadsheet to show if the answer is yes? And third, you guessed it, the value of false. What does it show if the answer is no? That's it. Test, true, false. Simple.
So let's look at a real-world example. This formula is asking a really simple question. Hey, does cell Q4 equal the number 12? That's our logical test. If the answer is yes, then bam, it displays the word long. If the answer is no, it displays short. And just like that, you've created a powerful way to automatically categorize all of your data.
Okay, a simple yes or no question is great, but let's be real. Life is rarely that simple. What if you need to check a bunch of different conditions at the same time? Well, now we're going to level up by adding the and or functions into the mix. Now, this is a really key difference. Think of it this way. The R function is the easygoing one. If you give it 5 different tests, it'll come back true as long as just one of them is true. But the AND function, that one's the strict one. It needs every single one of your tests to be true before it'll give you the thumbs up. And this is where the magic really starts to happen. So on the left, we've nested an OR function inside our IF function. I know, it looks complicated, but it's just asking, is the value less than 0 or is it greater than 50? Now look at the beautiful, clean result on the right. The number 50 is out of range, but 100 and 200, they're perfectly fine. The spreadsheet does all that heavy lifting, and it gives you a simple, readable answer. So why even bother with this? Because functions like OR and AND just make your life easier. Instead of writing this huge, confusing chain of individual if statements, you can just combine all your tests into one clean, efficient command. It's all about working smarter, not harder. So we've tamed our data, and we've taught it how to think. Now it's time for the grand finale. Let's make it talk. We're going to turn the results of our formulas into something you can understand in a split second without having to read a single number. And we do this with something called conditional formatting. You can think of it like a set of automatic highlighters for your data. It just watches your cells and automatically changes how they look based on rules that you set. If a number is high, turn it green. If it's low, turn it red. If a cell contains the word urgent, make the whole thing bold. You get the idea. And here it is. This is the ultimate payoff. Instead of a boring column of student scores, we get this, a visual heat map of performance. You don't even need to read that Ryan got a 98 or that Terry got a 69. You just see it instantly. The green shouts excellent, while the red and orange immediately draw your eye to who might need some help. This is what it means for data to tell a story.
So let's just recap the journey here. We went from a messy, static table to an organized, dynamic dashboard. We taught it how to handle both simple and complex logic, and then we made all those results visual and intuitive. You now have the skills to build a spreadsheet that really, truly works for you.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question. Think about your own work. Think about those repetitive checks you do every single day. Now that you have these tools, freeze panes, IF functions, conditional formatting, what's the very first thing you're going to automate? What's the story that your data has just been waiting to tell you?